Hey everybody, welcome to Goots' Disney Pod, and it's season 3, and I am live again with a real live person. Alison Klemp is back to talk Maleficent. Alison, how are you today?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm alright. My headphones are all fucked up. I'm about to take them off, but
Struggle is real.
struggle, it really is real.
It's so nice to be in person with you.
I haven't done an episode in person since November, and it feels good, but also weird. But I'm gonna get into it. It's funny, when I started doing the Zoom, it was like a learning curve, and now like back in person, it's
a new learning curve.
It's a new learning curve. I'm sorry I don't have a fancy studio. I feel like every comedian has a fancy studio now.
Who cares?
I know, fuck them. So Alison, last time you were on the show was January 10th, 2020. What have you been doing since then?
Not much, if I'm being real.
Okay.
Wow, that is what a time, you know?
I know. I take it you quarantined. I mean, I know you quarantined.
I did. Yeah.
And you miss it?
Yes and no.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, I just got back from like a week-long trip visiting parents, which was nice. But I mean, yeah, like it's the thing where it's like I went to, I'm starting to do things again. I went to a basketball game, which was very exciting. It was like my first live event, and like a ticketed live event in a really long time. But I was like, oh, I dig this, but only because it's whatever percent capacity. You know what I mean? Like if this was full capacity, I would be so like I would not be there. I would be freaking out and leaving. So yeah, I don't know if we can just keep. I realize like my ideal experience out in the world is if it's just a 20% capacity, because that's all I have to give.
Yeah, I remember I went to a Nets game that was like kind of empty in like January 2018, and I loved it. I love like empty sports games.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more into it.
This is why I'm a Mets fan.
Yes. Well, Mets. Every time I go to a Mets game, there's baseball for a reason. So I think and this happened like 15 years ago, white people adopted baseball games as their official, like, we're going to go drink all day holiday.
I think white people were doing that before.
Okay. Well, white women.
Okay.
I didn't see a lot of white women. When I did go to baseball games in the 90s and the 80s, I didn't see a lot of like 20, 30-something white women.
Yeah, we weren't really welcome there at the time.
No, you weren't. And but like I think they treat it as like binge day, like a lot of like white girls.
Well, they serve hard seltzer at the stadium now.
Oh yeah, they're definitely trying.
So
yeah, but when I went to the Cubs game in Chicago, it was like a ton of like. I just feel like people treat baseball games now as like we're gonna go.
It's a day drinking event.
It's a day drinking event.
Yeah.
Even if they're not into the game. Although I do feel like other states are way into their baseball teams more than us.
It depends. I mean, like that's what the Colorado Rockies have, as far as I know, always been. We're just gonna go get drunk and have fun at the game. Like people go to Rockies games, but no one really cares about the Rockies.
The funniest thing is when I went to Boston, I actually did a trip because the Boston Red Sox were playing the Mets over the course of 3 days, and I had a bunch of friends at Caroline's. This is back when I was just the manager 1 day a week. I went with the servers. They were Red Sox and Met fans, so we did a trip. And it's so funny to me how in Boston a baseball game is like a party every night. It's like an event, and I've never really looked at baseball or any type of sports like that. I'm happy when they win the World Series, like the Mets. I don't care about the Yankees. But that happened when I was 5. Or when the Rangers won the Stanley Cup, I was happy. And when the Giants won the Super Bowl, I'm happy. But like it doesn't really affect me. Like I'm just happy they won.
Right.
Yeah.
So you have a healthy relationship with sports.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes. Although if the Knicks win,
I
would have a party.
I mean, listen, if the Knicks win, this city will change forever.
I think the only thing that could save New York City...
This whole city will shut down if the Knicks win.
Because I have a lot of people that I don't talk to anymore that would... and from when I grew up, we would reconnect to celebrate this. Like, It would be like one of those movies where where everyone comes back together. Remember It? That's what it would be, me and all my like junior high school friends. We'd all just congregate and like work out our issues because the Knicks won. Like the Knicks would be the one thing that could like save the city.
If the Knicks win, there are so many father-son relationships in the city that will just be healed instantly.
So many things.
It's really the least they could do. But they won't.
They won't because I think
can't.
James Dolan's an idiot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been getting back out there. You know, I've been doing stand up. I still feel, I don't know. I just feel still like I never have a moment where I'm like I'm back or like this is how it was in 2017. Woohoo! I'm always like, oh, that was okay. Like, you know what I mean? When I'm doing shows out in the city, even Tiny Cupboard, which I really enjoyed my set there. I was just like, this is okay. But like everything still feels kind of off to me.
Well, I did your show a few weeks ago, and I really enjoyed it.
Well, my show's different.
Well.
I mean, that goes without saying.
No one can hold a candle to you, Ray.
I know. Well, I mean, I really should have like tooted my own horn, but Billy Procida yelled at me one day, like, "You're not." And I look back like, I was like, "No, I actually did do something important."
You should never let Billy Procida make you feel anything.
I know that's true. He goes, "What do you think? You're God or something?" And I'm like, "No, I just because I had an outdoor show, and if people had to use the restroom." They had their own apartment to go use the restroom, and I decorated it for Halloween. It's still decorated, and I think that's pretty cool because you were safe the entire time, indoors or outdoors.
Yeah,
and I don't know. I think that was cool. Everyone else was just throwing caution to the wind.
Yeah,
and I was able to keep the arts going safely. When we could have had concerts if I wanted to, or public
yeah.
shows.
No, I've always felt really safe at your shows, and I've always felt like really comfortable, even throughout
COVID.
This whole thing, yeah,
because we had some shows at the height of COVID, and everyone was like safe, and I mean I never got COVID, and
yeah, I never got COVID,
and you know, and like I was able to do it in my house safely, and so many big like Mike Vecchione at one point was like I should just stop going into the city, I should just do because he was saying the cellar and the stand at that point were terrible. But yeah, so yeah, that was good, but I'm just saying I go inside some of these clubs. And it doesn't feel like I'm back doing what I love.
Right.
It just feels like this still feels weird.
Yeah. Well, it is still weird.
That we're inside doing things.
Inside doing things is weird, and it's like this like elephant in the room thing where everyone's trying to pretend like it's not weird, and then that makes it even more weird.
Yeah. And
like no one really wants to acknowledge the situation. And it's like just this thing of everybody's trying to just like go back to 2017. But like, bro, 2017 sucked. Like, let's move forward, you know?
Yeah.
Let's move into 2021. Let's think about what 2022 is going to look like, you know?
Yeah, I'm all about making 2022 a great year. I kind of gave up on 2021 already. I mean, I know a lot of people haven't, but I'm just giving up on this year. But hold on a second. Matilda! Give me 1 second. Hold on. Guys, we're going to pause for a second. We'll be right back. We're back. How are you?
I'm great.
Okay. Sorry about that. So we were talking about, you were saying indoor events still feel weird, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we're talking about looking forward to 2022.
Yeah, 2022. I'm giving up on 2021. But like, yeah, I kind of thought the scene kind of sucked before COVID hit.
Yeah.
And I kind of thought and I just feel like we've doubled down on the things that made the comedy in the city suck.
Yeah. When
we're returning, rather than like get rid of them. And I feel like the restaurant industry is having more of a like they're trying to like we're not going to work for toxic people anymore. If you're going to be toxic, you have to pay more. And I feel like what Biden, you saw it, this is what's today's date? May 11th.
Yeah.
Yesterday, Biden said if you get offered a job, you don't take it. We're stopping your unemployment. Did you see that announcement?
No, I missed that.
Okay. Well, I feel like the working class is finally has a leg to stand on, and they're trying to knock that leg down.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and then there's all the businesses that are like literally putting up notes in their business like, oh, sorry if the service is slow. It's because nobody wants to work anymore. And it's like maybe nobody wants to work for your exploitation wages anymore.
Yeah, or they probably also have a horrible owner and a horrible manager.
Yeah, and it's like if you can't compete with unemployment, then you are a bad business owner.
Yeah. No, 100%. You have a bad business model.
Because unemployment is not a lot of money. People act like, oh, people are like sitting around getting fat on unemployment. And it's like, no, they're just like able to pay their rent. You know, it's like, it's not like you're just like living easy, you know, and like going on glamorous vacations with your unemployment money.
I got paid nothing at Caroline's, like literally nothing. And I worked like an animal. And I know for a fact the last guy who had my job, you okay?
Yeah.
Okay. The last guy who had my job got paid also nothing. And it's like, you want this killer work schedule, but you don't pay, don't be surprised when nobody wants to do the job.
Right.
You know, and I think comedy clubs have an easier time because they can kind of lord over stage time or opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, like, no, what is a restaurant going to say? Like, one day we'll make you the head waiter. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
But it's like pay people real wages.
Yeah.
You know, just stop making millions. This is the thing. You make millions, but like you pay your staff like shit. You're going to get shit staff, and you could be making tens of millions rather than, you know what I mean? Like you could be making even more. If you have a good staff that's loyal to you, I guarantee your profits go up.
Yeah, 100%. And you build and you get that morality from people by treating them well and with respect, because then that's what creates loyalty, not fear.
No.
But that is what most employers like try to do. And it's just like, I had to think about like horrible jobs that I've had in the past. And it was just like, it was such an abusive relationship, you know?
Yeah, it really
just like
is.
all of this gaslighting and making you think like, oh, if you can't work well here, then no one else will have you. And like, that's what abusive boyfriends say to their girlfriends, like, you know, so they won't leave. It's pathetic.
Oh, it so is. Oh, that's exactly. It's gaslighting. They treat you like shit, and the moment you stand up to yourself, or you talk back, it's like, how could you treat me like that?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
after
like
everything I've done for you.
Yeah, everything I've done for you.
Everything we've been through together.
That's what I got from when I had my thing a year and a half ago, and it's like, you didn't do me a favor. I worked and you paid. It's not like you gave me money and I sat in my house.
Right.
We both did each other. It
was an exchange.
Yeah, it was an exchange, and they act like you should just be so grateful to be where. Fuck it. The restaurant industry was so toxic.
We're like a family here.
Whenever they say family, that is they are going to turn on you so hard one day.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because what they're doing is they're creating an emotional relationship to make you feel indebted to them, but they will cut you loose at any point. And that's the thing about families is you don't usually get fired from a family.
No, and
written out of the will maybe, but you don't find out about that till later.
I never forget, like right after I got banned, I told Liz Mealy what happened, and she kind of had my back. But then like Lewis had a meeting with Liz Mealy, and Liz was like, he saw you as a son. He saw you as a son, and it's like, if he did, there would have been a conversation,
right?
Like between then and now. Like he did it. He saw me as a guy that he could get away paying nothing to.
I had a boss who did the whole family thing, and then he also did a bunch of sexual harassment on the female employees. Not me.
That's a real family then.
Yeah.
Actually, he's very close.
And in my, we'll call it my exit interview, when I was leaving, he like dropped that family line again, and I was just like, oh, if we're a family, then why were you trying to commit incest?
Well,
like, okay, so you're trying to fuck your daughters then? Like, what's going on here?
That's actually I never said to any, when I was a manager, I never said to any of the waiters that worked under me that we were family. I used to say something like we're a team, you got to work together. You're a team. I wasn't part of the team. They were a team.
Sure.
Because they did all the grunt work.
Yeah.
If I got annoyed, I would go hide in the office and read comics.
As is your right.
Yes, because I'm the manager. The great thing about a manager is you can do nothing and no one can question you on it. So I never said I was family to these people. And I was at one of my first shows back, I was at Black Cat, Riot, Danny Palmer's show. And my friend Joe Massey, who was a waiter at Caroline's in 2007. And do you know Joe Massey?
A little.
Okay. He was a waiter in 2007. That's how he got into comedy. And I'm hanging out with him. We took a photo. And I really wanted to I started making a caption. I just didn't. I said, I've known this motherfucker since 2007. So I said, but like, who else hangs out with the people in their staff from 2007 and 2021? And it's because I didn't treat them like family. I treated them like people. And I still, like, yesterday I texted, we were making fun of a Caroline's just they can't hire anybody. I hadn't made a post. Well, I texted a bunch of ex-workers, people that I like knew in 2004, 2005. It's like, you can have this relationship with your coworkers or people under you. You just have to treat them like people. These people are not my family.
Yeah.
They're just my friends. But when we see each other, we have a great time.
Sure.
Yeah.
You should write a book.
What?
You should write a book.
I should. I have there's so many people in the comedy game that walk around and act like they know everything, and we know a few. I know way fucking... I remember Luis Gomez made a post, a status, like, oh, I saw Patrice Neal 6 times. I've seen Patrice Neal perform live 100 times. Like, I saw him perform... I saw his last show. I was in the room the last time he walked off the stage and then walked into heaven, or I hope. And like I was there for these things. I know more than all of you. And someone was like yelling at me. Someone was like debating me on like that Caroline should just book JB Smooth at 20% capacity, and I'm like, and I'm like, I know what this does. I know this business. Like you can't. No offense, but the person yelling at me like plays the Grizzly Pear. It's like it's not even the same thing. It's not even the same business model. Like what?
Nothing. I feel like this is going off the rails a little bit.
No, but it's fine. This is the show.
I know.
This is the show. Oh, we did this the first time too.
I know.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. You don't have to apologize. It's just funny to me.
I know, but people will go and give like these, and everyone acts like fucking someone who booking a room for like 5 years is the Grand Poobah comedy.
Yeah.
I've been around this shit since 2003. Sorry.
You're good.
Okay.
You're fine. You're doing great.
No one goes, I should be the Grand fucking Poobah. Anyway.
Be your own Grand fucking Poobah.
I am.
Well, there you go. You're doing it.
Anyway, all right.
You are the Grand Poobah.
Look, you know why we're talking about this? Because we just saw probably one of the most blandest, boringest movies.
So terrible.
So bad. Actually, I gotta say, the best remake so far, and we shit on it last week, and I apologize, has been this one. I'm gonna hold it up. There's no video on this podcast. The Sorcerer Apprentice with Nicolas Cage.
Oh, I never saw that one.
So there's a great scene in this movie, and I think this was Nicolas Cage's choice, where they're in Chinatown. And a dragon comes to life and attacks everybody.
Nice.
The cops show up, and the Sorcerer Prince goes, Nicolas Cage, who's a sorcerer. How are we going to get away with this? And all of a sudden, the cops go up like, anyone see what happened? And Nicolas Cage is just like a New York cop. Yeah, these Japanese people over here, they don't, they're all hawked up on sake and stuff. And the character goes, these are Chinese people. Whatever, right? And the cops go, yeah, these Japanese people. And they leave, and he goes, why'd you keep calling Japanese? He goes, I'm staying in character. And it was so great that they acknowledged cops are racist.
Yeah.
And he used the cops' racism to get out of the thing. And I really feel like that was Nicolas Cage's
I like that
choice. Yeah.
What an interesting touch on a Disney movie.
Yeah, I know, but I feel like it was him. I feel like Nicolas Cage was like...
Well, because like that's not like going through the studio. You know what I mean? Like that's not coming from the studio.
But he uses the cops' racism to like get them to like not pay attention.
Right.
To, like what happened.
That's clever.
The big battle in Chinatown.
Good for you, Nicolas Cage. I'm impressed.
So me and Alison Klemp, the last podcast, it was Sleeping Beauty, and it's not the greatest story in the world, the original Sleeping Beauty.
Correct.
But it's beautiful artwork. Beautiful Art Deco, like very much like stained glass. Like then they use stained glass. There's a lot of artistic, especially when you watch it in HD or 4K. It's a beautiful movie to look at. Story's not the greatest, but Maleficent is in a great design. A very interesting character. So when they said they were making a Maleficent movie, I was intrigued, especially when they cast Angelina Jolie.
Sure.
Because I thought like, wow, there's a lot you can do with this character because she's so. I don't. Did you ever play Kingdom Hearts?
No, but I've heard it's really good.
It's really good. She's the villain in that.
Okay.
And there's a lot to do with her. Like maybe we can make, and I do think there's a way to make a movie about a villain and still make it family friendly without compromising the villain. And they did not do that in this movie at all.
No.
They took a very simple story. They needlessly complicated it to make Maleficent the good guy. And you can make Maleficent a good guy, but not within the confines of the Sleeping Beauty story.
They did so much to do so little.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. They almost like they I feel like some executive says you have to remake Sleeping Beauty. But you almost have to abandon that story because that story in and of itself, Maleficent is a horrible person.
Right.
Because she curses a little baby. In the cartoon, it's just because she's evil.
Right.
But she curses a little baby to basically die at 16 years old. And then the whole movie, the whole story is how we're going to get out of this. But if Maleficent herself is trying to get the baby out of it, because that's what happens. She falls in love with this baby, not in the Twilight way, but in a motherly way. And then tries to find a way out of the curse and can't until at the end, which we'll get into in a second, it completely breaks the story. Because I don't feel bad for you. Because you did this on your own reconnaissance. Curse this baby.
Yeah. You went out of your way to do this. You brought this innocent child into some beef that you have with her dad. Which in and of itself is like super convoluted. And like the Moors, is that what they're calling it? The like
Yes.
magical land that she's from. It's like, you know, so like we start there and it just feels very like this is like Disney being like, this is our version of Avatar, you know?
Yeah.
Like here's this magical like green land with all these like incredible creatures. Some of them are blue, and like, yeah, I don't know. The whole thing was just like so weird, and it's just like they didn't give us any reason at any point in the movie to like give a shit about Maleficent.
No.
Like they acknowledge early in the movie when she's still young that her parents are dead, but like they don't go into why. They don't like there's no emotional depth to this flying creature, you know? And then it's like, so then when bad things happen to her and you're, I guess, supposed to feel bad for her, it's just like, yeah, I just don't feel anything. This, like you were saying when we were watching it, that it all feels like a very long prologue.
Yes.
And I think that that is true. And it's like, this movie felt like it was 3 hours, but it's like an hour and a half.
Yes.
Which
So
is incredible.
because the other ones are long, Alison Wonderland, even this Sorcerer's Apprentice was long. I'm like, this is probably gonna be like a 3-hour movie, and I was happy to see it was 90 minutes. But then watching it, I feel like we watched 4 movies.
Yeah.
Like 4-hour movies.
Yeah.
And somehow we watched only a 90-minute movie.
It was crazy.
Here's this problem. I think you're right. I don't know why I'm supposed to feel bad for Maleficent, because she never shows me anything that would indicate she's particularly good or particularly bad. The only thing she does do is bring a baby into her beef with this guy who broke her heart. Which once you bring a baby, once you like start fucking with the baby, I don't really give a shit what happens to you.
Right.
You know, like
It's like, okay, yeah, he was mean to you like 5 years ago or whatever. Like he did something shitty to you, but this is a baby.
yeah.
And then it's like, yeah, and it's just like the whole thing. It's like it's like, oh, we're trying to do a feminism, is like what I feel like this whole movie is, but like the women are all so devalued as characters. Like
Yes.
the 3 fairies have like, they're even dumber than they were in the animated one, right?
They almost killed the baby.
Yeah. And then like the mom is like nothing. Like
She just dies.
doesn't
No one
even
cares.
she has no like
Yeah.
she has no pertinence on the king or anything. It's just like she's just there to be a blonde woman for 3 seconds. It's just like,
So they could be like, yeah, that's where she gets here. The other character I thought was very devalued was Prince Philip, who in the cartoon they actually have like a full blown like conversation. They kind of get to. It's very brief, and she does like fall madly in love with him in the cartoon. But okay,
can't blame him. He's hot
He's hot, and even
as a cartoon.
As a cartoon, I thought he was a good looking guy. I mean,
Yeah, well, he's clearly underage here, so I can't.
oh, he is. Okay.
I mean, I'm assuming.
All right.
She's 16. I assume he's also around 16.
I know. Well, I'm assuming, but I mean, like, I'm not saying I'm not into him, but you get my point.
I'm strictly my sexual interest in Prince Philip is strictly cartoon related.
Okay, that's good.
Just to avoid any.
Actually, Aurora in the cartoon's hotter than the real version too. So.
Also true.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's not illegal if they're drawn.
Yes. Yes. It's not so we established 2 rules for pedophilia during this movie, by the way.
Yeah.
It's not illegal if they're drawn. So if you want to go for I do feel Angela Pickles. That's kind of like crossing the line though. From Rugrats.
Yeah, I guess if you go with like the older version.
Yes.
Yeah.
All grown up. You
grown
can
up
date
Angelica.
Her. That's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Also, if you can turn to an animal.
Then yeah, that's
it's
fine.
It's not as a Twilight.
You can yeah, Twilight. Also in this movie, there's like Crowboy.
He was kind of given a role.
Which did they have that? Did she have the servant in the animated?
Well, the animals were.
She just controlled like all the animals, right?
Well, they're just like they're her crew,
right?
They're like her posse. She has no connection with the animals in this movie,
just
which
the one
indicates
crow.
to me she's kind of an asshole.
Yeah,
And down deep, Aurora.
She's like with the tree people and stuff, but
Yeah, but
only like fantastical creatures, not like real world animals. She doesn't really fuck
she
with.
had no connection with them.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but even the crow, she like totally manipulated that because she like quote unquote saved this crow, but it's like by turning him into a man, right? Because he was trapped under this net. But it's like you could have just lifted up the net and let him fly away, right? Like so then she's like, oh, I saved you, so now you have to be my servant, right? But it's like, yeah, but you didn't you don't have to do it like that. Like
She just
she's so selfish.
I hate using the term friend zone, but literally like she imprisoned him in the friend zone.
She really did.
Yeah, like she really did. But my thing with the prince is that like in that movie he kind of has a lot to do, and when he does get to kissing her, they do have a connection. There's a connection. In this movie, he literally asks her for directions and then just goes away. And then they drag him in the room, and they're acting so shocked that his kiss doesn't wake her up.
Right. They also like drugged him and took him to her.
Yes, they drugged him. He doesn't even go on his own accord.
Whereas like in the cartoon, he like fought his way into the castle.
Yes,
to get her.
Fights Maleficent. I think he gets thrown in prison for a little bit.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and he really
sought after her to save her, which is like, I guess, where that true love is.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, they just totally changed that.
I love the fact that like all he does is ask her for directions, and then they're shocked that like his kiss doesn't wake her up.
Yeah.
They're like, see, that love does not exist. That's like Maleficent to the crow.
Right.
And it's like,
true love does not exist between two people who met each other one time for 5 seconds. Nothing is real.
Nothing's real. I told you that love is a fallacy, and we're all just fucking cosmic beings.
Yeah. The real lesson of this movie is for Maleficent to learn to get to know someone first before just shifting your whole life towards that person.
So let's talk about like some of the big changes. This movie starts and Maleficent is a good, innocent little girl.
Yeah, fairy.
Which already I'm done. I'm out. Like,
yeah.
I wanted Maleficent to be evil. Angelina Jolie, I'm sure maybe she's a nice person in real life, just always strikes me as evil.
Uh-huh.
And I want to see her be evil.
Mm-hmm.
And no, the first thing is this little girl, and she's flying around. She even goes, wahoo! Which I was like, oh, you got to be kidding.
Right.
Remember when she went wahoo?
Yeah.
Okay. Then she meets a little boy.
Uh-huh.
And he's a human boy.
But humans are bad.
Humans are bad. But he's
Which they established. Even though he was stealing something.
He was stealing, but he's good. And
then he gave it back.
And they fall in love.
Mm-hmm.
Over their childhood years.
Mm-hmm.
They fall in love. And then the narrator just says, Philip liked power and was selfish, and he went away. They don't show that.
Right.
All they show him is being nice to her.
Yeah.
And I guess he goes away.
He ghosts her.
He ghosts her. She gets sad.
For his ambition.
For his ambition and power. That's all they tell you.
Right.
But, like, everyone has ambition. Like, what was he supposed to do? Just sit in the forest all day?
Well, and he was also like, oh, I want to live in that castle one day when I'm older. But then it's like, why doesn't she ever just invite him into her like magical land? Yeah. Because she's like, because like, they don't really cover like when she gets her castle, but it's like, yeah, they have a castle. She's like living in it. You know what I mean? Like, can't she be like, oh, yeah, just come live with me in my castle?
Yeah, or why don't you take that castle? I have my castle.
She can like teach him not to be a dick to the magical creatures. Like, oh yeah, hey, just don't call that tree guy ugly, and then we're Gucci. Like that could have been it.
That could have been it. And
but then we would have no story.
They also like he kisses her, and they just like say it. Oh, he told her this is true love's kiss. Which, first of all, if anyone says that to you and then kisses you, he's probably a rapist. I mean, like, who says here comes true love's kiss?
Yeah, it's coming.
It's coming.
Also, I'm a boy. I know about love.
Yeah, she believed him, but but then like they act like this is a huge revelation, but it wasn't true love's kiss. Really, the 14-year-old boy did not know about true love.
Yeah. Really, her first kiss?
It was not the one she's gonna marry. Fucking never leave your house again. So the army comes and attacks the fairies. They never really establish why the kingdom hates the fairies. Is it just because they're different?
I think so. And like, it's what's so interesting is that it's like there's all this magical power, but like the humans don't even seem concerned with like harnessing that power, which I feel like usually when there's stories of like humans versus magic, it's like humans are trying to get control over the magic power, but it's like they don't even care about that. They're just like, I just want to destroy it because I don't have yeah,
I guess it's racism.
I guess it's just racism, right? Isn't that all this stuff?
Yeah. But here's the flaw. So they want to destroy the fairies. They hate the fairies.
Mm-hmm.
These fairies got to go. But then when Stefan has Aurora, the fairies are there.
Yeah.
And everyone's just cool with it.
Those fairies people like. I guess, well, they specifically don't like
Are they
Maleficent.
Uncle Tom fairies?
Well, yeah, and that's the other thing too is that Maleficent was like chill with the three fairies when she was younger.
Mhm.
And then at some point she just like, and then it's like now they hate each other, but then that's never really explained.
Mhm.
It's like, again, for as much as this movie like overcomplicates and overexplains things, there's still like so many holes. And
Yeah.
it's like, I thought y'all were friends. And then like in the when they go to see the baby, and then it's just like, oh, what happened? No, y'all not cool anymore?
Not cool. Yeah, they're not cool. And so Maleficent up into so what happens is he says whoever can kill the Maleficent will be king. So Stefan goes and they mac it, and he's about to kill her and he doesn't. And instead he rips off her wings, and then she wakes up, and I think this is the one we're supposed to feel bad for her. She wakes up and has a reaction because she was drugged,
Right.
and she loses her wings. But she has a reaction, I think. And I think Angelina Jolie was trying to, and let me see if I'm being insensitive or you agree, I think she was trying to invoke how a woman would feel if she woke up and she was sexually assaulted.
Yeah.
The way she was kind of crying and holding herself.
Yeah.
About, and it is an assault.
It was an assault. Part of her body was taken from her.
Yes.
You know.
And so they try to do that, and I think that's the moment where we're supposed to be like, oh, poor Maleficent. And he becomes the king. And then we get to the big ceremony where him and his wife have a baby, and everyone's giving gifts, and Maleficent shows up, and now she's in all black.
Because she's bad now.
She's bad. And then she starts talking. Did you notice, like, all of a sudden she's, like, vamping, and she wasn't vamping ever? And I, like, where did she go from Forest Nymph to, like, Fifth Avenue darling, like, fashion mogul? Like,
right.
Because, like, she just jumps right into it.
Yeah, she went from, like, I'm wearing bark as clothes to, like, I have a snake skin wrap around my head and, like, super fashionable. Yeah, it's like, all right.
I wear leather now.
Where was the makeover montage?
Yeah.
You know?
I kept waiting for her to, I kept waiting for her to have a montage. She was like, no, I'm going to wear all black. And instead, she just, like, kind of stares at, like, she's, like, upset. And then, like, the next thing you know, she's in all black. But she does the curse. So apparently she can do that. They don't tell you where she learned it.
Her magic is so selective.
Yes.
They don't explain what it is or where it came from or how it works. And like even like after she gets her wings cut off, it's like she picks up this like tiny little twig and then just like through her magic turns that into this like incredible scepter. And it's like, okay, just do that with your wings.
Yeah.
Like you can't just make new wings. Like what are the limits here?
Yeah. I agree. Like they don't explain any. Well, here's the other thing. Did you see the scene where she got her wings back? She just walks up to her wings in
and
the
they
castle.
Just reattach.
Yeah. So like,
It's
why
like
didn't she?
it's like when you lose your AirPods and then like you get back into the range of them and they just like reconnect.
Yeah. So why didn't she just fucking go? Like, because she's in the castle when she's cursing the baby. Why didn't the wings just go to her then?
Yeah.
And then
why
didn't
she?
I'm not gonna curse the baby.
Why didn't she send her crow to like go find the wings or whatever? Like all this time ago.
And also, like, what if Stefan had been like, after the queen died, maybe he could have solved this all by, look, let's get back together. I was in a bad place then.
Stefan is the guy,
the king,
Aurora's father.
Yeah.
For anyone who hasn't seen this movie,
yes, he's the king, and he's like, I was in a bad place. Here's your wings. Let's hook up. I think she would have just stopped what she was doing. So I think she still like likes. I don't know. At the end of the movie, when Stefan dies, she had no reaction, which was weird to me.
yeah,
Because, like, she's been doing everything in this movie because she's so upset Stefan dumped her.
right,
And also took her
and
wings.
took her wings,
Yeah, basically.
and then all the other stuff.
Yeah, but like, I thought, like, it would have been good if she had, like, some sort of reaction.
Yeah, she wasn't even like happy. Like it was just like, yeah, and that happened.
Yeah, whatever.
And it's like, what was the point of this whole movie?
Yeah, when she killed Stefan. But so they did. So now, even though they hate fairies, the king of this who made his claim killing fairies supposedly sends his daughter to live in the forest with the three dumbest fucking fairies on the planet.
Right.
And Maleficent notices they're doing a very bad job. So Maleficent finds them in 3 seconds.
Yeah.
And starts like helping the baby out and looking over the baby. And then they become friends as she gets older. And it's just like, I would have been okay with Maleficent turning good at the end if you had some stuff where she's evil. Like the whole thing that people like about Maleficent is that she's the ultimate evil in Disney. And like she has this castle and she can turn into a dragon and she's just a badass. And she's not doing any of that in this fucking movie.
No, she has everyone else do stuff for her.
Yeah, like she literally is just watching over a child, and it's like, I don't give a fuck about this. Did you do anything evil this entire time?
Yeah. No.
Yeah. And her and Aurora become friends, and Aurora's just a complete idiot. And also, by the way, every time Maleficent gets annoyed by Aurora, she puts her to sleep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is her recreating her assault.
Yeah.
On everyone. And then Aurora finds out that her finds out the true story of like her birthright from her idiot godmothers or their idiot fairies. Confronts Maleficent, tells her she hates her, goes right back home. The dad is like, you came home too early. Dad's not an idiot. We're gonna lock you in a room because the curse is if she pricks her finger on a spindle, she'll fall into the coma.
Right. So
he locks her in a room, and she's good. And then this is the dumbest fucking scene in the movie. This is the dumbest fuck. I couldn't believe this. They wrote themselves in a corner, and I can't. Sometimes I'm amazed at like how much money goes into being lazy. Like, because they had to build a set, they had to stage this, they had to edit it.
I was thinking about this too. It's like, you know that there are people who worked on this movie who spent so much time like researching what was the kind of armor that knights wore in this time period, right? And like there are so many details in this movie, but then it's like the big picture stuff that like allegedly the people who are making the big bucks are supposed to be on top of just out the window, you know? It is just like there's it's like so much detail and so much lack of attention to detail at the same time.
You can tell a lot of the armor was inspired by Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah, sure.
But like,
I'm just saying, like you know, like there's always like dramaturg people and stuff, right? Who are like, and like those people are like, we really care about making sure that this is accurate, you know, and like this movie was like nominated for like costume design and shit, and like the costumes are great, right? Like the costumes are dope. Probably the best part about this movie.
Yeah.
But then it's just like, but then the writers, like, you know, and like whoever like approves things in the studio is just like, whatever, nothing matters.
It is true because you know if like one of the armors when they're filming that scene, one of the armors was off, the production designer probably got screamed at.
Yeah.
Like we're trying to make it, but meanwhile it's like, oh, how is she going to get her finger pricked on the spindle? Well, the spindles will just compel her.
Yeah.
Huh? They can do that?
Because the spindles are magic somehow. Like
the spindles can just compel people to touch them.
But it's also the power of the curse. The other thing about the curse, which is like another like crazy thing about this movie is that it's like, okay, so Maleficent has like gotten to know Aurora and now she's like, oh, I love her now and I don't want her to die in this coma. So she tries to revoke the curse, but then she can't. Like she has no control over her own magic, I guess. And also like sometimes her magic is yellow and sometimes it's green.
Yeah, I think
the yellow magic is the bad magic.
Is bad magic.
And then the yellow magic is the good magic.
Yes, I think that's what they were trying to convey. They did a horrible job at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like the green magic she can't control. Like I think that's what they were trying to say.
Maybe.
Because the green magic, when she said I revoke the curse, the green magic was like fighting back with her.
Yeah.
And I don't know. God, we're trying to make sense of the dumbest fucking movie.
It's so bad.
But yeah, the spindles compel Sleeping Beauty to go down. No one's watching her, by the way. There's no guards. This guy's super paranoid, right?
Yeah.
Super paranoid.
He's like off his rocker, has been obsessed with this woman and this curse for 16 years, is just like totally unhinged. In the movie, his hair has grown long and he's all like crazy eyes, you know. But yet, didn't send a single guard.
No, didn't send a single guard to watch his fucking daughter. Didn't lock the door even.
No.
Here's the other thing. So they make a big point to be like, they gathered all the spindles and burned them. But then they're all just in the basement. Why would you not get the spindle? Why would you not just burn them to dust and then bury them? Why would you burn them and be like, nah, just leave in the basement of the house that she's eventually going to live in?
Right. Or at least just like cut off the spindles, I guess. Like
there you go.
like it's just like this one part of this whole thing. It's just like, I don't know, just like get some sandpaper and like sand down all the spindles. I don't know.
Yeah, that would be another thing. There's just so many There's so many moments where everyone so for the story to be Maleficent's a good person, but to have the exact same Sleeping Beauty story, there are so many moments where everyone has to be a fucking idiot for those two goals to be achieved. Where it's like, I would have said when in the pre-production, we either have her be evil or we don't do the Sleeping Beauty story. We do a different story. You can't. I wish so when I saw the poster, I'm like, well, obviously they're not doing Sleeping Beauty. It must be a prequel to Sleeping Beauty because I'm like, how can you? And I was shocked to know that not only did they do Sleeping Beauty, but they made her good. I'm like, how?
It's like they're trying to give the story like the Wicked treatment, you know? But like
it doesn't fit.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't fit. There's too many. It's a very airtight story, so you have to create plot holes.
Yeah.
To give it the Wicked treatment.
Right.
Yeah.
Which they did.
Yes, they gave it. And then the movie ends with the guy dead dying, and Aurora becomes the queen of the forest, I guess. And then Angelina Jolie or Maleficent, I don't even want to call it Maleficent. It's basically Angelina Jolie. Is basically like, oh, here's Prince. Well, you should bang him. The guy that asked you directions. And
right.
They get together, and then we find the narrator was Aurora as an old woman.
Right. Oh, and wait, no, we forgot the biggest spoiler of them all, which is when they finally do the True Love's kiss.
Oh, the prince. It's yes, it's Maleficent.
It's Maleficent
kissing her on the forehead.
Yeah.
Because Maleficent has loved her this entire time, and it's a mother's love.
Right.
Which to me is like having the Joker be the reason why Batman stops fighting crime and decides to get married.
Yeah.
It's like
it kind of tracks like, yeah, like it's like very much like this, like, you know, I just think about like all these stories of like women stealing babies from playgrounds and stuff, you know, and like wanting to like raise them as their own and like that kind of shit, which like I think that's like what it's a little bit supposed to evoke. But then they're just kind of like, yeah, it's like trying to do this like Maleficent is the other woman, but there's like zero sexual tension between her and Stefan, you know, and it's just like, it's so weird, man.
They don't even try to make those two like it to me. It just never felt like those two were in love or anything. And it just feels and Angelina Jolie didn't really ever seem to be into him. It was a very, very weird movie.
Yeah.
And then of course the final battle, which she decides not to use magic. Well, she does. She turns the crow into a dragon.
Yeah. Well, she was hurt by the iron.
Oh yeah, she's hurt by the iron. But like, she's literally like just doing like hand-to-hand stuff with like this room full of soldiers.
Right.
And I guess it's because, you know, I don't know, but like there's never like there's never any points where like they never have any rules for the magic. The magic basically, what are her powers? Her powers are to fit the plot. That's basically what her powers are.
It's when do we not know how to explain something, we'll just throw in some magic.
Yeah.
Basically. When we're backed into a corner, we'll add magic, and that's how the magic works.
Well, the other funny thing is she storms the castle, right, to get Prince Philip and Aurora in the same room. And the first room she enters is filled with spindles that can hurt her. It's like a spindle maze. And I'm just like, who set this up? Who was like, in case Maleficent tries to come through the front door, we should have like a spindle maze,
right, that
will hurt her. Like, it was so bad. It's just bad. It's just, and that's the thing about a lot of these remakes. They're taking these cartoons, simple stories, and they think they're being clever. Like, this wasn't like they ended like, see, it's not what you were told, Sleeping Beauty. It's completely different. And it's like, but you've made it worse.
Right.
You've made it worse. It's a simple story. I'm not saying it's a great story, but you've made it fucking unwatchable.
Right. It's like, it's also like, yeah, I mean, this is a story that's, you know, 400 years old pretty much, right? So it's like, you know, maybe it's not the most developed, but like it's existed this long for a reason, right? Yeah.
Well, here's my other...
Trying to reinvent the spinning wheel here.
And I think like they really wanted to do like a female empowerment thing and I don't need no man and all this stuff. I get that.
Ladies can be evil too.
How about Maleficent is evil the whole movie? She's never good. But Aurora is the one who saves herself. Aurora defeats Maleficent as a dragon, not Prince Philip.
Right.
She's the warrior, not Prince Philip. That is more like Sleeping Beauty herself. Because Sleeping Beauty is still basically a helpless victim.
Mm-hmm.
At the whims of everybody in this story.
Yeah.
Which is what she was in the first one.
Mm-hmm.
But now she's actually dumber. Somehow she got dumber.
Yeah.
In this
and now she also has Stockholm Syndrome.
Yes. Because she now is like best friends and loves with the woman who basically cost her childhood.
Mm-hmm.
And which is weird. You're right. That's what you said. It's about Stockholm Syndrome. I agree with you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just like, oh, I love you. You're my godmother. The person who's trying to kill me.
The person who's trying to kill me and ruin my parents' marriage. And
yeah, killed my mom, arguably.
Yeah, the mom was probably depressed that she couldn't be with her daughter.
And then her husband was like a singularly focused psychopath.
He probably like abused her off camera.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, and all because of Maleficent.
He was definitely neglectful.
He was neglectful. He wasn't there for when she died, but like, and again, these are all like he seemed pretty normal. If Maleficent just left him alone, he might have been kind of a dick, but I think they would have been okay as a family.
Sure.
But she ruined everything.
Yeah.
And we're supposed to feel bad for her.
And the whole time, I think I wrote down like 3 times in my notes, like, why should I care about this? It's just like, what? And it's just like, and now I'm like thinking back, it's like, I never saw this movie before, but I do know some people who like really like this movie, and now I'm like thinking about those people, and I'm like, oh, you have mental problems,
Well, I think
if someone says that Maleficent is their favorite Disney movie, that person is not mentally competent.
There's people who
there are people who think this. There are people who say this.
Wow.
And I think that if you think that if Maleficent is your favorite Disney movie, then either you've never seen another Disney movie or you are not mentally competent to stand trial.
Well, it's like people who kind of fetishize and glamorize Joker and Harley Quinn's relationship when it's an abusive relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And like you're not getting the point of the character.
Right.
Or you do and you have severe problems.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean there was a girl that thought Joaquin Phoenix as Joker was sexy and like admired him, and I was like, oh, now I know why you don't have healthy relationships. Because they did everything in their power to make you be like, no woman should go near this man.
Yeah.
And you saw Joker.
Yeah.
So yeah, I could see Sleeping Beauty being. I could see people like this movie. Maybe if you like the costume design and the set design, even if you like the CGI, I could kind of see that.
CGI was all right.
I thought it was pretty bad, but
nice.
I could kind of see like, oh, I like the tree people.
Yeah,
I could see that, but liking it for the story, I think you're out of. I could also see you liking how Angelina Jolie looks as Maleficent, because I think she looks amazing as Maleficent.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give her that. She was, but like, no, I can't see.
It's like it's because her look isn't perfect for it, right? And I feel like that's as far as they thought about it. They were like, oh, we want to make Angelina Jolie Maleficent, and and that's it. That's all. That's all we got.
That's true. And I think I almost feel like they did have a script where Maleficent's purely evil, and I feel like Angelina Jolie and her agent and manager and some studio head were like, no, we want this to be a franchise, so she's got to be good,
right?
And they had to like, and I guarantee they're like, but we also need to remake Sleeping Beauty, so make those two things, and it didn't match at all.
Yeah,
I was very disappointed in it, but I'll tell you what though, we're not done, because in a few weeks, not yet because I'm doing chronological order, we're going to be covering Maleficent, Mistress of Evil.
Ayo.
I don't read any spoilers. We need to go into this. I know nothing what happens. I only know Michelle Pfeiffer's in the movie.
Oh, it's Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yes.
I was thinking Charlize Theron for some reason, but I knew it was one of those.
Charlize Theron is in, it's not a Disney, the remake of Snow White, but Universal made it, not Disney.
Oh, that's what it was.
Yeah, she's in those movies. But this one, by the way, is 2 hours long.
Cool.
And
we'll finally get all of our questions answered.
I'm kind of hoping this one, and nobody spoil it for me if you're listening to this, I kind of hope this one turns her evil, because it's called Maleficent, Mistress of Evil.
Right.
So if the movie ends with her being evil, I'm okay with that. I don't think it's going to, though. I think it's going to double down on her being good.
She's the mistress of evil, so she's just having an affair with evil.
Maybe she falls in love with a man who's evil.
Maybe.
And the crow was like, "What about me?
I've been here this whole time.
I listen to your problems.
Cucking for you.
I don't see you like that. Why?"
Yeah, I hope that in the sequel they go more into like the magical land. I feel like, but then again, it's like also like, oh yeah, well, first of all, this is a lot of money of CGI that we don't want to spend, and we don't want to develop all this backstory.
From what I saw of the trailer, because I saw it before Venom, Maleficent, it looked like Michelle Pfeiffer is the mom of Prince Philip, and they don't get along.
Oh.
And I guess the conflict is maybe Prince Philip's mom's evil.
And that's fun.
And Angelina Jolie has to convince everyone. And I think it's like, she's evil. No, she's evil. No, she's evil. No, she's evil. And maybe they fight. I don't know.
Women be evil.
All women are evils. That's what some people
Well, that's
say.
true.
That's true. That's true. Hey, now we're on Compound Media.
Hey.
Would you recommend? I don't recommend any. I definitely do not recommend you showing this to kids. I think this is the pits. Show them Sleeping Beauty.
This is not a kids movie.
No, although I think they do try to make it. They do market it as a kids movie, but
it kind of does too much of like dancing on this line of like, we're going dark. Just kidding, everything's fine.
Just kidding, everything's fine.
You know, this is a movie for Disney adults who have unresolved issues from their childhood, which is redundant, and I don't know, bad relationships with their parents. I don't know.
I would say if you're like Angelina Jolie stan, you'll probably enjoy this because she looks amazing.
Yes.
Although she doesn't really emote. Even when she's sad, it looks like she's like, I'm not. If I smile or frown, my surgery will crack.
Right.
But if you like Angelina Jolie, you'll like this movie. But other than that, I even think if you're an Ellie Fanning fan, I don't know if there's any. I don't think this is a good showcase of her.
No.
I don't think it's, and I don't. Juno Temple is one of the. Did you know Juno Temple is one of the little fairies?
Who is that?
Who is that? I feel like she's like. Isn't she a comedian?
Which one is the one? One of them is the lady from Harry Potter.
Yes.
Is that Juno Temple?
The main one.
The pink one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know any of their names.
Why do I always think she's a comedian? She's not a comedian. Juno Temple.
Which one? Which color was she? Was she the
She's
blue
this
one?
chick.
Oh, her.
Yeah.
The yellow fairy.
She's
I liked her.
She was on Ted Lasso. I always hear the name. I always feel like she's bigger, and I'm looking her up. She's not big at all. Maybe she was a kid. I don't know. I mean, she was a kid years because she's 31, so she was a kid at one point. So.
That's true. She was a kid at one
She
point.
was a kid. She's not a kid right now.
That is definitely true.
But I'm like maybe she was famous as a kid.
Yeah, it's like even like like in the original, like the three fairies, like there's so much comedy that comes from the three of them and like their interactions with each other, and that was not even here. In this movie.
It wasn't. No,
they were just dumb.
They were just complete they were just complete idiots. They didn't seem to care about the baby, and like that didn't help them. The fairies being that dumb and that like kind of like jerky towards the kid didn't help the movie. Like I think if the fairies cared for her, it would have been a better movie.
Yeah, and then there was even just like that line when Aurora was like locked up or whatever, and she was like oh, even though, and she was like begging for the fairies or something, and she was like, even though you tried to kill me, you tried to feed me spiders that one time or whatever. It's like that was the whole point of like all of that. It was just for this one line, this one throwaway line.
Yeah, they had to like minimize everyone, because every character that was turned into an idiot cared about Aurora in the original. They had to like completely undermine all these characters to make Maleficent work.
Right.
Which to me is like, well, then you have a bad script.
Yeah. Yeah, this whole movie is just a commercial for Child Protective Services.
Yes, and people to create Tumblrs dedicated to Angelina Jolie.
Right.
So I feel like that's the big thing.
They were like, we're going to make a movie that's gifable.
Gifable, yeah, just for Angelina Jolie stands.
Which, like, it is a great movie for gifs. I would definitely recommend to watch this movie with the sound off. Mm-hmm. You know, if you need to have something on while you're, like, cleaning, but, like, not anything that's going to suck you in, this movie is great.
Yes. Yes, I would agree on that. But don't think that you're going to, I don't know. Even if you love Sleeping, feel like the more you like Sleeping Beauty, the more you're going to hate this movie.
Yeah.
The original, yeah.
I think so. I'd agree with that.
The pits. Alison, do you have anything to plug?
As always, please check out my podcast, The Tableverse. It's a very fun RPG live action pod where we play Starfinder. So it's very much like Firefly vibes, Guardians of the Galaxy, if you like that sort of thing. We just started recording and releasing new episodes, so lots of fun stuff to check out there. So that is The Tableverse. And starting to do live comedy again, so you can check me out on social media at Alison Klemp, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah. And also you got engaged.
I got engaged.
I said what you've done. You went not much, and I meant to bring that up.
Oh, I thought we were going to get to it, and then we just talked about comedy beef.
Yeah, we never brought it up.
And then we got sucked into comedy beef.
That's true.
Yeah, I got engaged, so I'll be wedding planning for the next year and a half.
Hopefully the pandemic will be over by then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Guys, if this is your first time listening to this episode, I don't know why it would be your first one, but if you enjoy, if maybe you're a Maleficent fan or an Angelina Jolie fan or an Alison Klemp fan, you forgot you did the other one. We've done a ton of episodes. Season 1 was all the Disney animated films, including Sleeping Beauty. Season 2 was all the Pixar films, and this season's the remakes. Next week, I'm doing Cinderella from 2015 with Camille Theobald. She's coming back. Did you ever see that version?
No. Wait, which one?
2015 Cinderella.
No.
Okay. Me neither, but there's no mice in it, so I'm already ready to fucking hate it. Please check that out. Subscribe to us on iTunes or any podcast platform. Goots' Disney Plot. Also, Pod. Also, follow me on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram at Ray Goots, and follow the podcast on Instagram, Goots' Disney Pod. Also, please share the podcast if you like it. I know I have a lot of fans on Tumblr. If you're a listener from Tumblr, please share this. Especially, I'm sure there's like a bunch of Angelina Jolie fan pages. Share this to them, I guess. I don't know. We'll see. Guys, next week, Camille Theobald, Cinderella. I hope you'll join us. Alison Klemp, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
We'll see you next week, guys.